Well, good morning, everybody on YouTube. This is James again with Inspired Serenity. This video is going to be very special to me, mainly because that's part of where Inspired Serenity came from. Inspired Serenity is kind of a two-part, one video section. One of them is on Serenity, my RV, with full-time RVing. The second part is for Inspired drones. A lot of people don't understand what drones are. A lot of people are really concerned about what they can do, what they can't do. Mostly they just don't know about drones. This segment is on the Inspire 1 drone, I should say. I own one myself. He's right here. His name's Frankie. Yes, I named my drones. But it's basically a DJI product, but this video, I'm going to try and make this as short as possible. This is on what to watch out for when you're buying a used drone. Used drones come in many different flavors. For today, we're only going to talk about the Inspire 1 as well as the Mavic. Let me grab a Mavic real quick. Alright, a quick little story. I had a customer. He basically bought a drone off of the internet. Bought it out of Texas, actually. He paid $1,300 for this drone. He received it. It looked like it was in great condition, but unfortunately it didn't want to fly. So what did he do? He brought it to me. I'll get that drone real quick. This is the drone. Now, to the casual eye, there's nothing wrong with it. It, again, like I said before, it is an Inspire 1. It's got all the bells and whistles. It's got batteries that came with. It's got the the housing, the shroud, the body in itself is in really good shape. But there were some telltale places on the aircraft that we immediately saw that there were deficiencies. One of them is very simple. If you buy a drone, these are the things, particularly with the Inspire 1, to look for. Every one of these brackets right here will have tape wrapping around them. What they do is basically have a screw hidden. This is what you would tighten to make this where it doesn't flop around in this T very much. There's a lot of play that can happen right there. So that's what that does. The second thing that you got to look for is over here. There's more tape on that. This one doesn't have it because I've already repaired it, but there's a piece of tape, black tape, that covers that right there too. So as the example goes, if you were to say, I saw this on Craigslist, and you ask them for pictures of those two particular parts, and they refuse to send the pictures to you, that means that somebody has worked on that arm. If you say, did it ever get crashed? Well, that would be a justified question. Show me those pictures. If you see the tape on there, no, it hasn't been crashed or repaired. This one, that exact same scenario happened. Those two pieces of tape on that arm in particular were basically missing, so I knew immediately right out of the gate that this thing had been crashed and repaired. Other places that you would look for, I mean, I hate to put it obviously, is the condition of the body. If they are not willing to show you the condition of the body, then that's another, lead up to there could be other problems. Let me move this camera just a little bit more. This one, you can't see it very well, but there's a slight blemish right there. That may or may not have been evident when it was a picture being taken or something like that, but that's just one thing I would look at when I would actually purchase one of these things. But going back to the telltale indicators, number one, the tape missing on these parts here. I'll turn it around where you can see better. Tape missing on this, or outside of here, or outside of here. It's a full wraparound piece of tape. If that tape is missing, that drone had that part worked on. That's big. The second thing is there is a way to put these into travel mode. Travel mode, basically, I'll do it real quick. Grab the radio. And again, like I said before, I'm trying to keep this video kind of short, so I'm kind of blasting through it. When when you get it, if it doesn't do the articulation on the Inspire 1, which is the namesake of an Inspire 1, these things are dynamite. They actually articulate the arms upward to give it better aerodynamic stability. That means that this thing could fly like a rock star in high wind conditions, wind gust situations. It's just a rock star. But if you get one, or you have the ability of asking somebody you want to buy it from, if they would just do what I'm about to do, that would answer a lot of questions. So right now it is in what they call flight mode. Notice it did not have a camera on it. I'm going to put it into travel mode now. Now, it moved. That's the important part. If this is how it came to you, this is called travel mode. And the way you take it out of travel mode on an Inspire 1 is very simple. You take the gear lever and you move it up and down 4 times. Now, that's a big part, and the reason I'm saying that is because that part alone is $450. The part is $450. For me to actually do the repair work to replace that thing, it literally means stripping this whole thing down to bare nothing before I can even get to that. So the labor on the repairing of that $450 part is probably going to be in the area of $300. Again, make sure it articulates. The other points of interest are on the bottom here. I don't know how well you can see it. On the bottom, you've got a bracket right here with rubber bumpers. The rubber bumpers are what are vibration isolating the camera itself. The camera, you need to put it on there, and if you can have them show you a video of the aircraft powered up and the tablet that the radio is connected to see the video of the camera feed. I'm not sure if I explained that right. Let me try it again. You connect the radio with a tablet. You connect the camera onto the aircraft, turn everything on, and have him take a picture of the camera's feed on the aircraft through the tablet or phone to confirm that it actually is showing a camera feed from the drone. I think I got it done. Okay, so that's another bullet point, because that's a $550 X3 that comes stock with this thing. That's inexpensive camera. If you go to the X5, I guarantee you, do what I'm talking about. Get a snapshot of the whole system operating and a picture of a screen on the radio before you even think about buying it. Some people see a steal and they think it's a steal, but it turns out where they got to pay twice as much just to get the aircraft where it's actually flying. Physically, look at the carbon fiber booms. Make sure they're, if he is not willing to send you detailed pictures of the booms or any component, suspect it's broken. Now, everything on the Inspire 1 is repairable. They're all aftermarket parts. I completely built Frankie up, the one I showed you guys at first. I built it out of every screw, literally came from damaged drones or scrap parts from here and there. So the parts are definitely available aftermarket. Other things to kind of keep an advisory on, these are detachable props. They basically have a special prop adapter. This is one of the many generations that DJI actually put as prop adapters to connect these to the aircraft. Check for damage, because you do not want a prop flying off. If this is cracked or damaged in any way or loose, replace it. The batteries they have 2 variations for the Inspire 1. One of them is a TB47. The TB47 is a good battery, but it's only rated at 4,500 milliamps hour. The TB47 is rated up to 54, I believe, 5,400 milliamp hour. So this one has lesser of a capacity than the TB48s. If you have that as an option to catch while you're doing the search for an Inspire 1, look for TB47 or TB48. TB48 is the better case scenario. They both fit in the same aircraft. Going back to the tidbits to look for, if you have the opportunity of flying the aircraft, there's a component that I've seen that has failed as well, and that's called your vision positioning system or your optical flow camera. This basically, when it does not have a GPS signal, is what it uses to lock it in a horizontal plane where it does not drift on you. So if you have the ability of flying it, take it out of GPS mode, put it onto Vision ADI, and have it in a place where you can say there's no GPS signal, and try and let it just sit there and park and confirm that that part is working properly. Other than that, literally your GPS is located in the upper shell here. You have your light bridge is enclosed in your flight controller at the nose of the aircraft, which is up here. This also has your compass. If you have the comfort in doing so, a lot of people try and sell these things with the compass, and it's just a little bitty circuit board. The compass snapped in two because they crashed into something, knocked the nose cone. Nose cones are cheap, but that compass is probably around 80 bucks, and they don't tell you that they damaged the compass while they replaced the nose cone because of a crash. When you look at it, make sure that you kind of rock it. I'm going to try and get it on camera here. Just kind of twist it like this. Those two arms should not flex that much. So with all that said, that is bullet points on the Inspire 1. This is a Rockstar. I love mine, and ultimately it will give you years of performance as long as you take care of it. A couple other bullet points on this. If you get it, make sure that these screws, you go through all these screws on this outer arm, and any screw that you have a screwdriver capable of turning, just give them a once over to make sure they're nice and tight, because if they snuck a repair in on you, somebody could have forgotten to tighten it up all the way. Now, as far as the Mavic is concerned, Mavic is kind of unique. Unique in the sense that I love it to death too. I don't have one personally, but I've got one here I'll explain. First and foremost, this one, you have several places that you need to be cautioned on. And again, if somebody does not have the desire to show you a picture, then they're trying to hide something from you. The biggest, most important thing is inside. If it does not have the gimbal lock or a gimbal guard or a protection device built into it right now as it sits, that means that they've been running it without this protection while it's being traveled. With this in travel conditions, this thing, see how much it flops around just by doing that? There's two ribbon connectors, one for the mechanical gimbal movement, and the other one is for the actual camera feed to the light bridge system inside the drone to send it back to video onto your radio ground station. If this thing is traveling and literally being jarred because of whatever, that ribbon connection could actually be damaged just by that alone. You don't want to give it high shock impacts. That's a big one. Now, how do you know if the gimbal, this is the primary thing that I have to replace regularly after a crash, the gimbal. It is so time consuming to repair the gimbal, it's more cost effective just to put a brand new one on. A brand new one is $350. But how do you know if somebody's gotten inside this shell? Well, I'll teach you how real quick. Inside of this housing here, you have to actually pull the entire cap off. I've got one over here as an example. This entire top shell is what you would have to take off in order to get to the gimbal connection point. This was in a field for a month and a half before the person found his drone again. Don't lose your drone. Make a long story short, here we go. On this side, there is one screw right here. And I'll point it out again. On the back side, this is the front, this screw will have a little plug of either silicone, hot glue. It's so tiny you cannot put your screwdriver in it in order to unscrew that screw. And you'd think that you don't have the right tip or you're doing something wrong, but it's a telltale indicator for service techs if this aircraft has been opened before. Only this one for the gimbal repair will have a plug in it if this has never been opened before. Once you pull that off, you pull this screw, there's one underneath this little cover here and another screw. So all together up here, you've got 6 total screws between this, and this. Then you've got the bottom part taken care of. On the top, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once you pull all those, you have the potential of pulling this top part of the shell off. But again, all we're talking about is, has somebody been in there before? That screw is a telltale. Also, as far as underneath this assembly is the optical flow sensor, other electronic devices, your light bridge, all that stuff. This also has, and I'm not sure which one on this group of 8, these 8 screws, one of these have a plug in it as well. That will tell you whether this has been opened up. So once you take this top shell off, you got full access to the internal guts. Once you pull this plate off, this whole section right here is one piece. Once you pull that off, you have access to the inner guts as well. This has a plug in it if it's not been opened before. And as far as this top shell, to get it off, if this has a plug in it, this has not been opened before. So other things to look for is just general structure. Number one, this has got a cam located in here. If there is a good snap like that right there, that means that that cam inside there is working properly. That regularly breaks. Same thing with the front. If that cam is not properly working, it will not do that. You got to make sure it works, otherwise it's going to fold on you in flight. The same thing goes with here. This has a cam as well. Okay, so if it does not have any resistance, then you probably got a broken cam, which is again an indicator that you've been in a crash on this drone. So this one is fine as well. So with all that said, the cam in itself is only an $8 part, but it's going to take $50 to get it apart to replace it. So everything adds up. So if you pay X dollar for this thing, and you got to repair this, you got to repair that, you got to repair that, it all adds up to us. It's not really worth it. The motors in themselves, the telltale on both the Inspire as well as the Mavic, give them a spin. Fire it up if you can. Listen to the motors. If they do not sound perfectly smooth and humming like a, like a Swiss watch, they probably got a problem. The boom replacement alone is like $70. The labor to do it is another $100. So if you make a mistake and you don't catch that, you're going to end up eating the cost of that. These are another item that get broken on the Mavic series. These sometimes pop off as well, but for the most part, these are rock stars. They fly like a jewel, and they are one dynamite indoor performer. They have new, for the Platinum, for example, they have a little bit higher of a profile propeller that goes on here, but gives them a little bit quieter of a flight characteristic. But I don't know. They say it increases the airtime as well, but that's up to the beholder, I guess. Take these words of caution. Learn from our mistakes. If you can, on the gimbal, on the Mavic, look into this area. Look for the two ribbon cables. There's a little tab, and I'm going to try and get it where you can see it. I doubt that's going to happen, but I'm going to get it kind of close here. If you're looking down my finger, my index finger right here, this one, there is a plastic plate. That plastic plate has a 90 on it, and it has to be there. That's what keeps the gimbal from coming down too far in the event of a shock. So with those, the description there, it should give you an indicator of what to look for. I don't have a camera that's really able to zoom in on it. I'll work on that one too. But that's pretty much it. Again, I was going to keep this into a short video, but probably got into it a little bit more. Again, make sure that they got a gimbal lock on it. This is your clear dome that goes on it. Make sure they're clean. Make sure that they're not really scratched up too much. But again, they're replaceable. Everything is replaceable. As far as the Inspire is concerned, another key point for you on that, not that I'm trying to bounce here, I'm trying to give you indicators. On the radio for the Inspire, get yourself your USB cord. Do this. Don't even play a game. You have to do this, because if you plug this thing in, and that connection is not strong, if that is not strong, like it doesn't flop around, that board that's in there but would have to be replaced is like $100, $120 technically, I believe. So if there's a lot of slop, I can repair it in a lot of cases, or tighten it up, or replace it for $120. So with that being said, the second thing, and this is again one more important item, when you put the tablet onto the radio, and you actually have the cord connected from the radio to the tablet, whenever you power this on and you power on the tablet, up in the top edge where it shows status, if it does not show, after all said and done, aircraft disconnected, meaning you don't have the aircraft turned on, if you don't at least even see that, there's a possibility that the communication from this interface card to the tablet, there's a problem. and I go worst case scenario, there also is a circuit board in here that can give a problem. So I'm going to clarify what I'm saying. With the radio on, with the tablet on, and connected to the radio, on the top of the display that comes up, normally, even without the aircraft turned on, with the aircraft off, you will still see aircraft disconnected. If it shows aircraft disconnected, you're good, you're golden. If it does not show anything, then you probably have a communication problem from the radio, which goes through that board and up to your tablet. That is an issue. The interface board is $120. A new circuit board inside of the radio is about $250. And then you got labor. So let's do the math here. Have you justified buying a radio? No. How you can get a person you're trying to buy this from to admit that that doesn't work, if you can get it in your hands, you can do these quick tests. The biggest thing, if you got the availability of having the bird to look at, having the bird fly prior to buying it, that's your advantage. Trying to find a deal online, unless that person is willing to send you a lot of videos, blowing $13,000 on an Inspire 1 may not be a smart move. There's a lot of cautions, a lot of double checking to do on a expensive aircraft, and the things that always come back to me after a person buys these things thinking they got the deal of the century, and then I got to turn around and charge them another $800 to repair it. So keep all that in mind. I'll keep you up to date as time goes by with any other suggestions or ideas that I may have for you. But other than that, you have a good day.